Hello, friends. My name is Rudo. Our channel takes you on a journey through captivating stories, perfect for viewers of all ages and backgrounds. Experience the magic of storytelling as we reimagine ancient legends, bringing them to life with cinematic mastery that immerses you in the essence of African culture.
They say food has a way of bringing people together, but in one quiet village, a single meal became the key to its downfall. Every morning, the marketplace buzzed with eager customers, drawn in by the irresistible aroma of a dish so delicious it felt almost magical. No one questioned why Sira's noodles were unlike any other, why a single bite left them craving more, why missing a day without it felt unbearable. But behind the steaming bowls and savory flavors lurked a sinister truth, a truth too horrifying to imagine. One woman, Naya, refused to ignore the strange changes happening in the village, strong men growing frail, children aging faster than nature allowed, and an eerie devotion to Sira that no one could explain. What she would soon uncover would shake the village to its core, exposing a darkness no one saw coming. This is the chilling tale of a woman's cursed recipe, a village trapped under a spell, and the battle to break free before it was too late. Story begins. At dawn, Sira awoke brimming with energy, her spirit as radiant as the morning sun. She reached for her handcrafted wooden mirror and gazed at her reflection. But the sight before her made her shudder. With a swift motion, she set the mirror aside and gathered her steaming, freshly prepared noodle dish, ready to take it to the bustling village marketplace, just as she did every day. Long before she arrived, eager customers had already formed a queue. Mothers anxiously clutched their coins, desperate to buy Sira's famous noodles for their children, who would otherwise head to school on empty stomachs. Her dish was unrivaled. Its flavor cast a spell on all who tasted it, and its tantalizing aroma drifted through the village, drawing people in like an enchanting melody. For many, a day without Sira's noodles felt incomplete, as though something vital was missing. Yet, beneath the delicious flavors and the mesmerizing scent that had the entire village enthralled, a sinister secret lurked in the shadows. Sira's noodles were anything but ordinary. They carried a hidden ingredient, a sinister touch unknown to the villagers, who devoured every bite without a second thought. Under the cover of darkness, when the village lay in deep slumber, Sira would prepare her infamous noodle dish. It was the perfect moment for her to carry out her secret rituals, unseen and unsuspected. As she stirred the simmering pot over the fire, she would slip in writhing worms, harvested from decaying corpses and lifeless animals. Infused with her forbidden sorcery, these creatures gave her noodles an irresistible, mouth-watering flavor. Yet, beneath their tempting taste lurked a deadly curse. Each time an unsuspecting customer swallowed a worm, it slithered into their gut, gnawing away at their insides, draining them of strength and vitality. It didn't kill them outright, but left them frail, aging them prematurely. Children who consumed the dish grew unnaturally fast, their innocence fading as they became defiant toward their parents, yet strangely obedient to Sira. Whenever a child misbehaved, parents would only need to whisper a threat of reporting them to Sira, and instantly the child would fall into line. No one ever questioned why she alone commanded such fear and respect. Sira's business thrived. She expanded beyond her food stall, establishing multiple ventures across the village. In a short time, she became one of the most revered figures in the community. But with every coin she gained, the villagers grew weaker, their energy fading like a candle's dying flame. And yet no suspicions arose. Instead, they eagerly lined up, desperate for her noodles on the rare days she failed to appear, unaware that their beloved delicacy was the very thing draining the life from them. Life in the village carried on as usual until a resolute widow began to sense that something was amiss. Naya was a woman of unwavering strength, a tireless worker who had single-handedly raised her 3 children since the loss of her husband to the harshness of fate. She was disciplined, cautious, and unlike the rest of the villagers, she never indulged in meals prepared outside her home. In fact, she instilled the same values in her children, urging them to appreciate the purity of home-cooked food. But as the days passed, Naya couldn't ignore the unsettling change sweeping through the village. The once spirited farmers, known for their dedication to the land, now idled away their days at Sira's shop, endlessly consuming her noodles instead of tending to their fields. The shift was too stark to be a coincidence. Convinced that the root of the problem lay within Sira's seemingly enchanted dish, Naya resolved to uncover the truth. The very next morning, she marched straight to Sira's shop, determined to purchase a plate of the notorious noodles. But to her astonishment, Sira flatly refused. "I said it's finished. What part of that don't you understand? This batch is strictly for my most valued customers." Sira snapped, her voice sharp with irritation. Naya didn't argue. She turned and walked away in silence, but in that moment, her suspicions solidified. Sira had sensed something different about her, something that made her wary. That alone was proof that Naya was on the right path, and no matter what, she was determined to unearth the truth. As the months passed and Sira's cursed noodles continued to weaken the village, Naya knew she could no longer stand idly by. It was time to bring an end to the darkness. That evening, she waited patiently, watching as Sira packed up her stall and returned home. Silent as a shadow, Naya trailed behind, keeping her distance until Sira disappeared into her house. Then she concealed herself in the dense underbrush, waiting for the dead of night, the hour when those who dabbled in dark arts performed their sinister rituals. Thanks to the wisdom passed down from her late husband, the village's revered herbalist, Naya was no stranger to the ways of witches. She understood their practices, their timing, their hunger for power. Right at the stroke of midnight, she spotted Sira emerging from her home, a black nylon bag clutched tightly in her grasp. Naya held her breath and waited until Sira had put some distance between them before slipping out of her hiding place and following in silent pursuit. The path led deep into the heart of the forest, where the stench of decay thickened the air. There, amid a grotesque dumping ground of lifeless bodies, both human and animal, Naya watched in horror as Sira bent down and began scooping up writhing worms into her bag. The sight was repulsive. Many of the worms were already rotting, their putrid scent enough to churn the strongest stomach. Once she had gathered what she needed, Sira turned and made her way back toward the village, completely oblivious to the watchful eyes that had witnessed her every move. Naya trailed Sira back to her house, determined to uncover exactly what sinister purpose the worms served. Though the truth loomed before her, she couldn't bring herself to accept that Sira might actually be using them in her food. As soon as she reached the house, she crouched beneath the window, peering through a narrow gap. Her heart pounded as she watched Sira retrieve the wriggling worms and empty them into a small calabash. Just as before, she drizzled a strange enchanted oil over them, muting their foul stench. Then, without hesitation, she dumped them into the steaming pot of noodles, stirring the concoction with eerie precision. Naya's stomach twisted in revulsion. She wanted to look away, to unsee what had just unfolded before her eyes, but she couldn't. Every fiber of her being screamed in horror, yet she remained utterly still, swallowing her nausea and resisting the urge to cry out. The moment Sira turned away, Naya fled into the night, her pulse racing. Sleep was impossible. The grotesque scene played over and over in her mind, each detail more nightmarish than the last. How could she possibly free the village from Sira's clutches when the people were already so deeply ensnared? By morning, she knew she couldn't do this alone. Without wasting another moment, she made her way to the home of her late husband's closest friend, Barrow. A man of great wisdom, Barrow had always been wary of Sira. Unlike his wife and children, he refused to eat her food. Time and again, he had warned them to stay away, especially after a disturbing dream about her, but his words had fallen on deaf ears. "Come in, my child. What troubles you this early in the morning?" Barrow asked, offering Naya a seat. "Barrow, my heart is burdened. Our village is in grave danger," Naya declared, her voice trembling. He furrowed his brows. "What do you mean? Speak clearly so I can understand. What danger are we facing?" Taking a deep breath, Naya recounted everything she had witnessed. As her words unfolded, Barrow's expression darkened with shock and horror. "Now it all makes sense. That dream I had about her, it was a warning. I should have realized sooner just how wicked this woman truly is," he said, shaking his head. "We don't have much time. The chief is about to take her as his third wife. If that happens, our fate is sealed." "But why? What does she stand to gain from all of this?" Naya asked, bewildered. Barrow exhaled sharply. I can't say for certain, but we can't wait to find out. She must be exposed before it's too late. That very night, Barrow assembled his most trusted allies in the village. Under the cover of darkness, they made their way to Sira's home. What they witnessed with their own eyes confirmed every fear. She had been poisoning the entire village all along.